I'd like to thank you for joining us for today's webinar, The Secrets of Digital Audience Acquisition and Retention. And we're fortunate to have a pair of terrific speakers for this event, and I will introduce them shortly. First, I'd like to go over a few quick housekeeping items. First of all, our webinar is scheduled for 30 minutes today, including time for audience Q&A. And our speakers have graciously agreed to address audience questions during the presentation, and I will serve as the moderator for the questions. So if you've got a question, you can ask it through the Questions tab on the GoToWebinar user interface. And I'll keep an eye on that window during the presentation, and I'll do my best to ask our speakers the questions as they go through their presentation. Now, we'll have time also at the end for me to ask our speakers any additional questions that we didn't get to address earlier. So Olive Software is producing these webinars on a regular basis, and the best way for you to learn about the next one is to sign up for our newsletter, follow our industry discussion on our website, and also to follow us on Twitter. And I'm going to push links to each of those in the chat window during today's webinar, so be sure to grab those shortcuts there. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, we're fortunate to have a couple of terrific speakers for today's webinar. Linda Schaible is Vice President of Marketing and Audience Development at the Houston Chronicle, and John Rockwell is Director of Subscription Services and Retention at the San Francisco Chronicle. Linda and John have many years of experience in not only building their audiences, but retaining them as well. So they've graciously agreed to share some of their most value acquisition and retention tactics with us today. So now I'll turn control over to you, Linda and John, and I'd like to welcome both of you to today's Olive Software webinar.
Hello.
Thank you.
So I think I'm going to start with the first slide on which is our some key acquisition strategies that are what's working now for us, and here at the San Francisco Chronicle and with Linda's team in Houston. So one of the key things that we're doing now is we're trying to move way beyond traditional newspaper subscription marketing tactics that so many people have been using for many years. And both Linda's team and my team here in California are working real hard to really fine-tune existing channels of sale and try these new ideas. And some of the ones that, and I'll put the term new in quotes because some things that we think are new are really kind of new-ish. So one of the first things that we're spending a lot of time doing now is, and I don't think we're alone in this, is we're doing these short-term sales events, what we call 72-hour sales. And we're finding a lot of success selling subscriptions both at good rates and that will retain well. And the basic concept around the 72-hour sale, the way I put it, is that we carpet bomb all the channels with marketing about the sale. So when we do a 72-hour sale, we give our best prices and we promote that aggressively via all of our online and offline tools. So we do homepage takeovers on our website, SF which is one of the largest news sites in the world. We do a variety of email marketing before, during, and after the event, and we do a lot of other we do FSIs and a lot of other marketing, all of it tied together visually by the copy and by the offer. And so we think it's been very successful for us as we started to use that this year. The second thing we're doing a lot more of now, we've been testing for a while, and I don't think we're alone in the newspaper business, certainly in testing, is social media. And one of the things that we're having some luck with right now is just posting sponsored posts in people's Facebook timelines, and it's not a solicitation. It's purely just one of our evergreen stories from our premium subscription website, sfchronicle.com, and it links back to that story, the free version, the open, ungated version of that story on our website, and then we block out the ad positions on that page so it is just the subscription offer. And we've had a lot of luck with this. And by using the custom audiences functionality that Facebook offers, where we're able to match our subscriber database of former subscribers to who sees it in their timeline. So we find that works very well. The other thing that we're doing is daily deals. We use Living Social, Groupon, and we're starting to look at niche deal providers like Urban Daddy, Guild City, to attack specific vertical audiences. And we're of course cautious about the retention on those types of customers. We know that's not going to be as good as other channels, but we're hoping to be able to find new households that have not subscribed with us in the recent past. We put a note in here about better customer touch point, better use of every customer touch point. I think that's an important thing that a lot of marketers, because we're super focused on very specific targeted strategies, a lot of marketers don't step back and think about every time we touch the potential customer, the potential subscriber, and to take a look at that and to remember that your best customers, your best prospects don't need to be discounted as much as you would other types of customers. And that's a tough one to remember sometime in an environment where price and price sensitivity is such a large issue. And this next item, Linda, you put in here, and so you might give a better description of this than me about the bundling of the components and our value propositions.
Yeah, I think that's one of the key pieces we try to do here is we try to make sure that when we're positioning all of our products, that we're making sure that we talk about the entire value proposition. So if we have digital products in Houston, we actually have in San Francisco as well, we have a premium website that is separate from our free website. It's not a walled site, paywall. It's actually a completely separate site. So we make sure that we talk about all of our digital products when we solicit for the newspapers so that customer understands the entire value proposition and what those dollars equate to.
And I think that that's particularly important because we have such great stories to tell, and the total value proposition is really good. Sometimes we have trouble getting that out or remembering it. So one of the things also, we talked about all these new channels and some new ideas, and some of it is just us getting smarter and more granular about how we analyze the offers and pricing that we have out there. And interestingly, we're seeing, for example, some success with longer-term all-digital subscriptions compared to the month-to-month recurring continuity subscriptions, that what I refer to all the time as the Netflix model. And so we're very closely watching the retention and the churn on all of these types of subscriptions to understand pretty granularly the metrics around what works better, what retains better for this new type of customer for us, this customer that's less about did we throw their paper on time in the morning and more about is the user experience online compelling enough to continue with us. So those are some of the strategies that we're working on now that we're using to drive sales and to hopefully lower churn. So I guess we're on to the next slide. And I'll let I'm happy to mention the lead gen here part. One of the things that's important to us is we want to build a much better infrastructure around leads, right? So we want to have people who've opted in for a free newsletter or just given us their email address, and then try to push what in newspapers we call sample programs or free trial subscriptions. And we've started to build the infrastructure around that now, and we are testing these things. We believe very strongly that this lead pipeline gives us a lot more meat on the bone for us to trigger or market people later, to take better advantage of every single touch point, and to build engagement even before the customer is paid to subscribe. So, and then one of the other big things, of course, is cross-promotion, and I'll let Linda address that.
Yes, that's one of the things we try to leverage a lot of. It's sort of choosing what is your largest megaphone that you have in the marketplace, and then leverage that to drive to your other products to, again, extend that value proposition. So, for example, we do have a premium website. We actually leverage what's shown here are a couple of promotions that are on the free website. So in our case, Cron.com and San Francisco's SF Gate, which promote over to our premium product. And you can see that it's slightly grayed out. In that screen, you'll see that there's a promotion to our e-newspaper. So we use our premium product to also drive to other digital platforms that we have for a customer. So those are key ways to, we start the funnel with our big megaphone, and then we drive people down into our various digital products to, again, show them, you know, there's a there, for lack of a better phrase.
Yeah.
And then this talks to our actual product suite. So we run marketing as a brand positioning marketing in Houston that's really around the Your News, Your Way. And we make sure we emphasize all of our platforms, including our iPad app. So we have iPad app, we have the premium site, the daily e-newspaper, and then we also have, of course, the print edition. One of the things I wanted to talk about a little bit was our digital product portfolio, and we've seen a lot of growth there. I think as you know, we try to build a runway for our customer base into the future. Digital products are definitely a way to do that, and I think everybody has been working through the various models of, do you have a pay site? Is it a wall? Is it a separate premium site? I think Hearst, we feel pretty confident in the model that we have. This has worked well for us. I believe in it. I think it gives us a great opportunity to talk to large segments of the market through various products, free and paid. This is an example of our e-edition and how we're leveraging that not only as a digital platform, but then also as a marketing tool. Again, one of the key factors is to make sure that everybody sees the value of fundamentally what we provide to the community, which is content. And we're all great at creating content. I think our biggest challenge is how do you make sure that everybody sees all of it? It changes daily. It's not like Coca-Cola changes their formula on a daily basis and has to tell everybody about it. But we do. So this is an example of, on the left, you'll see the e-edition as it currently exists, and it basically is a table of contents, and then it's got some links to some headlines on our free site. If you go to the right-hand side, it shows the redesign that really focuses on the content for a subscriber. So it breaks out the sections that they normally see, but then we also have things like our Community Extra product, which is our small publication for the communities, special sections that occur throughout the year so that they have access to them all the time, subscriber-only benefits. Those include things like sweepstakes, VIP event entries. We also have books that we've done that will go in that area, and then we have a Spanish language publication. And so that will be highlighted here as well. This is all content that's available to a subscriber. The bottom portion is actually the push.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
The bottom portion is actually a push to the premium site.
Linda, I was wondering if I could interrupt for a couple of questions that have come in.
Sure.
The first one is, can you give an example of how you're capturing leads to get them into a CRM tool?
I can answer that. One of the things we're doing now is we're looking at leads in three ways. I keep calling it the email-only lead. But basically what we're going to be starting to do shortly is roadblock or overlay the free site with an offer to, we're going to test offering a free trial, which triggers the paid, triggers a free trial to the premium site immediately, and or just collect your email address to get free newsletters and other free goodies. And we're going to test that, and then we're going to dump that into our new, those leads will dump into our new email service provider for instant messaging, so the potential customer will get a series of messages immediately. And then It'll also dump into our back-end CRM platform, which we use Marketing G2's OI system. And those leads will be captured there as well. That's how we're planning to do it initially.
Okay, terrific. I think you actually answered both questions there. Thanks very much.
Sorry.
I just want to share a few examples of specialty publications that we've created using the Olive tool, or the Olive platform. So San Antonio actually created an ebook. So this it's not a physical book. It wasn't in the newspaper. They created a completely separate ebook that only appears in their e-edition. And they designed it in regular, Adobe files, layout, and then just populated it through the normal process that they use for their e-edition pages. So this is a great way to take your content that you have, reformat it in a way and consolidate it, and then offer it up to your subscribers as additional value for their subscription. Then I have another example of something that Connecticut Post did, which was interesting. They have a music festival that occurs there. It's been going on for a long time. They cover it in the paper, but what they did was they took all the posters from the past festivals and they created this special section that was only in the e-edition. So they never printed it. They pushed out to it they promoted it, that it was available in the e-edition from both the Sunday and then I believe it's the Thursday that was prior to the actual event starting. But they actually saw a 13% lift in their e-edition usage, which is a pretty good number. We've also used things like this to get new digital subscribers, which count towards our AAM number, to get those new digital subscribers active and using it on a regular basis. So you're saying, hey, how do we do that? And I know everybody has email programs. I'm a big believer in email. I don't like getting it, but I love sending it to people. Big proponent of emails. But it's a great way to drive traffic and engagement to your digital products and to highlight the things that you have. It's also a great way, as John was referencing before, to sort of get people in and start them on a drip campaign so that they're converting. Even formers. We send some emails to formers, but it's not just an offer. It might just be, hey, you get access to a newsletter for a day. We send out quite a few. We've got like a weekly summary from our premium site. That goes out to everyone, whether you're a subscriber or not. And if you're not a subscriber, it makes you an offer to go in and use it. We've got a weekend preview. A daily e-edition, so we send out a daily email, and I'm going to talk a little bit more too about how we've optimized that to make sure that we get the maximum number of click-throughs on anything we put on there. And then we also have regular emails that we send out for special coverage that the newsroom might have. So for example, when the new Pope was announced, we had an interview in the archives from, I don't know, it was like 9 years ago or something. We took that piece of content, we put it up on our premium site, and you can put it anywhere. Put it on, you can put it on your free site if you wanted to and use it as a lead gen tool. But send an email out and said, hey, this is an exclusive interview. Here's the news that was just announced, and here's an exclusive interview with the man who's going to be the Pope. And it didn't matter to anyone that it was an interview from 9 years ago. So it's a great way to use, again, the content that we all create and utilize that so that you can start driving traffic and interest in your content. We have one thing I'm big on is, and I know John is as well, is opt-out rates. It's key to keep your opt-out rate low, and in order to do that, you have to be sending relevant things to your customers. So even formers, just sending them a subscription offer, you're likely to get a higher opt-out rate. It's always good to send them something else as well, even if it's just a little sample of the things that they could get as a subscriber. We make sure you create goals too. That's key. I think our open rates on specialty coverage, our open rates are somewhere around 37%. but a regular standard open rate for these emails that you see right here is 22%, which is pretty good. Click-through rate, 4%, and then click to open. So if they've already been in it, then clicking through to a story. So the number of people that open, 16.5. So we're running pretty close to all of these goal rates right now.
Linda, a couple additional questions here. On the daily email, do you blanket send to everyone, or do you require that folks opt in to receive the message?
No, so for the daily e-edition, we send that to all subscribers. We consider that a commercial email that you get as part of your subscription. So it is not something people opt into, no.
Got it. And then the second question is, do you focus your efforts in your geographic market only, or do you have out-of-market efforts also to extend your reach?
I can answer a little piece of that, and then John, if you want to jump in. I know in Houston, in terms of our digital products, we do not limit ourselves to the Houston geography. I think I'm sort of the big net, so the more people we can get in, and digital does extend to, beyond our borders. So I'm fine with getting those customers in. John, you want to?
I would agree, and we because we believe that both our local content and our overall the content flow that we've got on the websites and in the print paper is going to be of interest to people, all way outside the Bay Area. We don't always stay with the local universe, and so we're testing that to see where we get the most traction. I will tell you that one of the things that we're looking at is international, which is counterintuitive for being local, but that's one of the areas that we want to look at too, because, for example, the Bay Area is a very diverse place. We have lots of people from China who live here. They might, and there are people in China who want to know about what's going on in the Bay Area. So we have a similar thing with the tech coverage that we have. So yeah, we look at it very broadly. So, and I was going to reiterate too about something Linda said before about relevancy. One of the good things is that we are content-driven entities, and we've got lots of great content, and we can very narrowly target and make that content relevant for our customers. And it is always better to push content at somebody, especially when you want them to do something, to buy, to engage with it, than just pushing a solicitation. And so I completely agree, and I love Linda's numbers. They're really rocking and rolling with this in Houston. So.
Well, let's go to your numbers so you can talk about how you're rocking.
No, so we have a similar program to what Houston's doing. I would say the thing that we did, I would say that this year we spent a lot of time moving beyond the traditional way we looked at the who of these newsletters, and we changed the model extensively. So we moved, as Linda's doing, we moved away from just sending it to the people who specifically opted in for the newsletter, and then we changed it to a broader group of all of our activated customers that we had an email address with. And what's been really positive about it is that from both the standpoint of the e-edition and more broadly use of the website and subscriptions is that the engagement level has gone through the roof. So if you had not activated your subscription and we had an email address for you, that this e-newsletter is really pushing that activation. And if you're currently not an active subscriber, you don't have access, it's pushing those people to restart their subscriptions. And we found we've had a lot of strong results around that. What we do now is we have a daily newsletter that goes out for our e-edition, and we send about 75,000 people. Huge levels of engagement with it. We have a recap for premium subscribers who basically say, here's the stuff you had access to, read it. And we've expanded that to 3 times a week from 1 time, and we're getting great results with that. And now we're just starting a membership program where we're giving enhanced member benefits to our subscribers, and we're actively promoting that via e-newsletters as well. And that's doing really well. And it's pushing engagement of the membership program to all levels of our subscribers. And it'll be driving acquisition in the future as well. So we're really pleased. Again, we set our goals a little more aggressively than Linda, probably because I'm crazy. But I think I'm hoping that we can hit these numbers. I believe that we will as we fine-tune the design. As you can see from Linda's slides, they've done a lot in Houston to make their e-newsletters really effective from a design standpoint, from the subject lines and how the tool works, and that's been exciting. And so we're going to try to catch up to them this year, so hopefully.
That was a good segue.
Yeah.
So I think yes, we have been experimenting, and then we iterate the e-newsletters, and any of our newsletters that we send, we monitor the metrics from the open rate all the way through to how many people make it to whichever destination that we sent them to. So this is just the same email that goes out. It's the daily e-edition email, and this just shows the 3 versions of it. So this on the far left was the original version that we started with. It's been here for a while. We might have added the link to the premium in the iPad, but cumulative clicks on that email, 5,600. We changed the design slightly, so we moved the image to the left. We added some better images on the right-hand side. The iPad app download made that more prominent. Total clicks, cumulative, were 8,700. I can tell you that iPad app download, that doubled. So that link alone doubled. Then 2 weeks later, we decided we would try something else. We added a small blue bar at the top that basically told people this is how you get to HoustonChronicle.com, and then we emphasized it a little bit more on the right-hand side, and we got cumulative. We added 1,300 more clicks. So and now we're experimenting, as John mentioned, we're experimenting with subject lines to see if we can get that open rate and start driving that open rate more. So I would encourage everybody, experiment. And when we did these experiments, all we did is we broke off, randomly selected a third of the list, sent it out to them to see if it was disastrous, and then if it looked like it was okay, we went to half, and then we just did full if it still looked like it went well. So that, it doesn't have a huge major impact on you when you do those kinds of things. It's pretty safe. And so you can experiment, iterate, and still make it safe for yourself. And then I just John and I wanted to touch a little bit on how to optimize your email programs. I do think email is one of the best ways to engage with customers, potential customers, and then really create a rapport and create some connection with your customer base if you go about it the right way. So frequency is key. Everybody, it's, hey, send out a bunch of email, but you have to make sure that you track those opt-out rates. If you start getting huge opt-out rates, you either have to reassess your content or your frequency. But that's going to be the metric that tells you if people are happy or not. So it's sort of the happiness metric.
And again, Linda, I would say, too, that what drives a lot of it, you're absolutely right. You've got to watch this every day. It's not something you look at once a month. You've got to look at it every morning, because you can go wrong really quickly. And the other thing I would say is that you can also see results around the relevancy issues very quickly. And to your point about frequency, frequency of delivering this content, some people would be willing to take an email from us every 5 minutes. Some people, you send them once a month, it's too much. So it's very important to watch all those metrics and fine-tune continuously. I absolutely agree.
Right. Yes, that is huge. Then the list itself, I know having a global do not email list is important, and everyone should have that, and then you should apply it where it's appropriate. I would encourage everybody to keep a separate opt-out list for each of their email types. The reason being is, ultimately, at the end of the day, it's about what people want to read. So if they've raised their hand for one thing and want to lower their hand for something else, I'm a big believer that we should allow them to do that. I also think it helps you maintain strong opt-out rates across all of your lists. And then applying a global do not email to everything or adding someone to that, you end up missing out on people who really do want to get things and would be happy to take those. So I think that's one. I would take a look at your opt-out lists and how those are set up for your organization.
And I would completely agree. The more granular you can get with those opt-outs, opt-ins, and opt-downs, we call them, the better off you're going to be. And I would add one last thing. Having just moved from Canada myself, there are both within the United States and outside the U.S. with the Canadian anti-spam law, there are some rules to be careful of. So make sure that you've checked your privacy policy, you understand your permissions and opt-out rules, you understand the language, what you're doing, so that, to Linda's point, that you're not invalidating big chunks of your database so you can't use them, and you're not inappropriately spamming people. Because beyond the law, you also want to, it's not best practice to be sending too much email to the wrong people that's not relevant to them. So.
Right.
Yeah.
And then reacquisition after opt-out, I think that's important. I think sometimes people think, well, somebody opted out, so they just don't want to hear from us. Well, my argument to that is, well, they still want to hear from you about that. So is there something else that they want to hear from you about, and then finding a way to appropriately make sure that they're aware of those things. So we use special coverage in order to do that. If you're a subscriber, you certainly have a right. If we have special coverage, you certainly have a right to it, so that we send that out, and then we might ask, mention our other newsletters and give them an opportunity to get back on those. And then we also have member-only benefits where we talk about the things that are available to subscribers, and they have an option to click through on those things.
Yeah, this is a great point. Just because they've opted out doesn't mean they're completely dead yet to you.
Right. And then we're going to leave it open to questions.
Yeah.
And fortunately, we've covered most of the questions during the presentation itself. I appreciate the flexibility. We're a couple minutes over our time, but there was just one other question to ask, and then we'll wrap up. And it has to do with your opt-out rate, which is just amazingly low. And the question really is, was there anything in particular you've done recently to make it that low, or has it always been that low?
No, it has not always been that low. I will honestly tell you, it's taken me. I've been here at the Houston Chronicle for 2 years, and it's taken me 2 years to get down to that number. A big key piece of that was the universal do not email. So, and then we also, there was one email, do not email, so I split that up into opt-outs for individual. That number that I showed you was it's across everything. It averages out to 0.06. Some are a little bit higher, but 0.06 as an average is good. The other thing that we did was I removed our subscriber list from the ad mail program. So the ad mail program included the subscriber list, and so they would capture that, and then all subscribers were part of the ad mail program. So those were separated. So if a subscriber signs up for ad mail, then they get it. If they did not sign up for it, they do not automatically receive it. And that was, I think, a key initiative here that immediately resulted in better opt-out rates.
Okay. And I lied, a couple more questions have come in. We've got time for just this last one. How do you build your email database? Are you purchasing lists from a third party?
I will say we have purchased lists in the past and with not good results.
And
so we're focusing on lead gen via our free site, and and we're also looking at maybe direct mail to all the households in the Bay Area to allow to harvest email addresses as well. So we're going to be testing a bunch of tactics, but we're not buying outside lists, no.
So we tried, similar to John, we tried outside lists. They were not very effective. In Houston, when I first got here, we were probably at about 27% penetration rate on the email to subscriber number. Now we're closer to 40, 43, 45, right around in there. A key part of that was when someone called into the call center, we made sure the first thing out of someone's mouth was, can you please verify your email address so that we can communicate these changes to you. So we used the customer service experience as a way to make sure we got email addresses from folks. Now there's going to be some people who, they were subscribers before there was email. So, those folks, that's probably not, and they probably don't engage that much with email anyway. But they might, but if they call in, that's how we get them. Anytime we're at an event, we make sure we collect email addresses. And to John's point, it really is about giving people an opportunity for them to give you their email address so that you can have drip campaigns and things that follow up so that you can start associating them with being a former or a current subscriber.
That's terrific. Well, I want to thank you both very much, Linda and John, for just a terrific overview of how you approach the challenging topic of subscriber acquisition and retention. I'd also like to thank all of our attendees for taking the time out of your schedules to join us today. Again, please keep an eye on our website, sign up for our newsletter, and follow us on Twitter to keep up on the latest new services we're offering, as well as information about future Olive webinars. Thanks again, and have a terrific rest of your day.
Thank you.